World War I was a tragic time of deaths, heroism, and many more historical aspects which have come to shape today's modern society. World War I rocked the world, bringing 32 countries into the fight and causing 37 million casualties, both civilian and military. Here's how it started. World War I started when Gavrilo Princip fatally shot Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria. The Archduke was riding in an open-top vehicle when a gang of 6 men attempted to kill him during a parade in Australia's Sarajevo city on June 20th. The 5 other men attempting to assassinate the Archduke had already been caught, however Princip had not. Princip fired the shot, killing Franz, igniting the spark of World War I. Early days. Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia, as Gavrilo was a Serbian nationalist. Shortly after the declaration, Germany announced their support for Austria if a war was to break out. Shortly after that, Russia began to back Serbia, resulting in Germany declaring war on Russia. 15 days later, on August 8, 1914, Germany marched through France and Belgium as part of the rout. Britain had already declared an agreement to maintain the neutrality of Belgium, and due to this invasion, Britain declared war on Germany. Throughout 1914, war is continuously spreading as alliances declare support in a chain reaction just as their allies are invaded. They will join the fight. The first fight between Germany and Britain broke out in Belgium at the city of Mons. This started the fire of the Western Front of the war and officially introduced Britain into the war. Issues began to turn further on the Eastern Front as Germans obliterate the Russian Second Army, taking almost 100,000 Russian prisoners of war after they were defeated at the Battle of Tannenberg. Next, the Germans launch attacks against France. Germans begin to conduct air raids on civilian cities like Paris in order to terrorize civilians and destroy all hope of winning the war. The future is bleak as bombs are dropped on Paris nightly and civilians begin to lose hope. Soon after everything becomes hopeless, or so it seems, Germans begin to lose battles. One of the most important battles of World War I was the initial defeat of the German army at the Battle of Marne. Germans had been trying to advance through France at the time, however they lost this fatal battle. Germany has been pushed far out of France and all the way back to the North Marne River, which results in the failure of Germany's Schlieffen plan, the plan to march through France entirely on a direct route, which has been planned ahead of time. Civilians' worries soon begin to swell. Belgium has been hit so hard that the Commission for Relief is founded in October 1914 by Herbert Hoover to assist citizens indirectly hurt by the war. On October 31st, 1914, Germans lose yet again another pivotal battle. German soldiers in a trench are shoved out of trenches and cornered by a British flank. However, Germans have also planned to flank the enemy, and a regular battle ends up occurring. With the Germans ending up being pushed miles back to the river on November 24th, the winter begins to take hold, forcing a German retreat. Japan soon decides to enter the scene. On October 31st, 1914 as well, Germans were holding the city of Tsingtao, China, until Japan raided the port city and finally pushed the Germans into surrender on November 6th, 1914. An interesting, faithful part of the war was the event of the day of December 25th, 1914. On this Christmas Day, the No Man's Land, also known as the area between trenches during trench warfare, was filled with Christmas carols, bringing out the friendly soldiers to greet each other. Even enemies had a great time on Christmas Day, as soccer games were played and thousands of trenches experienced the Christmas truce. Shortly after the Christmas truce, one of the largest battles had begun. The Battle of Verdun was fought faithfully by both French and Germans along with their forces. Almost 1 million soldiers were killed, making this battle the bloodiest of the war. Verdun was almost destroyed by bombs, munitions, and dead bodies, which resulted in major economic consequences. While the battle was initiated by British forces, the battle quickly became the longest battle to have occurred, lasting many months in the trenches. Germans ended up creating the first offensive of the battle, and it is usually considered that German troops lost this battle after an extremely offensive push on Allied forces, making that the cause of their defeat. On February 3rd, 1917, the United States began to get involved. While not directly fighting yet, there was still an impact. At the beginning of February, the U.S. cut off diplomatic relations with Germany, which essentially brought them into the war. Months later, on April 6th, 1917, the U.S. officially declared war on Germany. On June 7th, 1917, American forces finally arrived in England, led by General John J. Pershing. American forces soon make their way to the fight in France on June 24th of the same year. In the following months, many minor battles occurred, as Germany began to be pushed back to their homeland, showing signs of defeat for the nation along with the Austro-Hungarians. On December 15th, 1917, Russia agrees to sign an armistice proposed with Germany, leading to the end of the conflict between Russian and German forces. On January 8th, 1918, Woodrow Wilson proposed his 14 points of peace, a famous plan to end fighting across the Western Front along with parts of the Eastern Front. Russia officially ends its fighting as a new star steps in with the Treaty of Brest-Litovsk, approved by Vladimir Lenin. Later that month, Germany gathered all remaining forces to send one last offensive in a dying hope. As March ends, the month of May arrives, and late into the month, United States forces are able to win the Battle of Cantigny, which was the first independent operation run solely by American forces. When Germans push one more time to cross the Marne River again, American forces stop the push with the help of other Allied forces. Later that year, on September 12th, Americans began a crippling offensive against Germany. By this point, Germans have been severely crippled, leaving themselves nearly defenseless. Americans attack St. Mihiel Shelton, resulting in an instant victory due to the sheer power of the American forces and the crippling depression that the Germans have fought through. On September 26th, the final offensive on the war occurs. Allied forces, including the Americans, attack Musée-Argonon, dealing a final blow to the Germans, forcing a surrender. On November 11th, 1918, the war is officially ended. The war has seen 37 million deaths and has finally ended, being prompted by the armistice signed at Copenhagen, which was the official document to end the War of the World, or so it seemed until World War II. Shortly after, peace conferences began, attempting to repair the damage all across the world. One such treaty that was signed was the Treaty of Versailles, a treaty limiting Germany's power, which was followed until the beginning of World War II when it was defied to create another supernation known as Germany. Countless treaties are signed as the world puts itself back into place. After losing 37 residents of the Earth, it can be said that the planet has truly never